Last time on Gilbert and Frank's Amazing Colossal Obsessions.
Did you do your socks and underwear in JJ's sink? I hesitate to.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why the tide was. He was washing undergarments in your sink, JJ.
I didn't realize until I saw that piece of shit movie that was actually what must.
We've been talking to my friend J.J. Wall, who's not only a working comic, but has written and produced some of the most popular shows on TV. And now we're here for our second half with J.J. Wall.
You've done some interesting acting work, JJ, over the years. Yeah. Well, you play Uncle Paul on Arrested Development.
Oh, yes. That's a friend of mine put me in that one, Jimmy, who Gilbert knows.
Oh, yeah.
Because between he and Mitch, they wanted an inappropriate uncle who kind of touched people, but you didn't know if he was a child molester or not. And they seemed to think
Gilbert, did you read
perfect.
for that?
Yeah.
No, because, see, Gilbert would have read as a child molester.
Right. Yeah.
They wanted somebody like me who could or could not be.
Right. You could.
Oh, there would be some question.
That's right. There would be a momentary pause before you let them take your kids to the park.
And I remember you also popped up at least once in an episode of Seventh Heaven as a priest.
As a priest, yeah.
Talk
That's
about
the Hampton
child
Comic.
molesters.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I didn't get molested as a child because the priest who used to take the altar boys to the beach had us all change in the locker room, so we got to see us all naked.
Oh,
and then took us out to the beach, and then he pulled my bathing suit down at the beach under the water. But I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, so I was like floating around naked.
Oh, jeez.
And therefore, I didn't get molested because I freaked him out. He was like, "Shut up, stop that."
Wow.
Yeah. Father Schmulligan, let's call him.
So he would take you, he would have all the boys change in front of.
Well, it was Jones Beach, so you'd go to the locker rooms and change. I mean, that was the thing. I shouldn't say they because I don't know that many of them, but it was kept within normal confines until it wasn't. Until I should have read
You
a red
jealous, Gil,
flag
that you
into
didn't grow
that.
up Catholic?
Yeah. And he pulled your trunks off?
Pulled my back, not off, but down like below my knees. And like I said, I just thought this was great. I'd been naked in the ocean before. I was like, this is terrific. And it completely freaked him out.
Brings to mind the Catholicism bit in your act, JJ, where you compare it to the Marine Corps.
Oh, the genuflect,
Yeah, very funny.
one bad knee, one huge thigh. I got a laugh at a friend of mine's funeral last week because he went to the same military academy. And I said, Catholic boarding school military academy. It's amazing we were able to function sexually as adults at all.
You missed out, Gil.
I remember. This is getting back
Gilbert
to.
would have been great in military academy.
He would have been.
Oh.
He would have been a great Catholic.
That's possible.
I just had a story pop into my head. Getting back to the different people you've worked with. Well, like Brett Butler was having a lot of trouble on
Yes.
that show. And at one point, Roseanne and Brett Butler went out to lunch together.
Yes.
And what did Roseanne say about Brett Butler?
As I recall, when Roseanne came back, she said to a bunch of people, that girl is batshit crazy. And this was Roseanne who made her writers wear numbered shirts so she could tell who was who.
Oh,
So she would call on number 21, which was Norm Macdonald at one point, I think. You, give me a joke, number 21.
Norm, right? He wrote there too.
Yes, and Norm would periodically climb out the window because Norm, I don't think I'm telling tales out of school because I think this is something he's talked about in his act, but he used to gamble a bit, and people would come around to collect money, and he would climb out the back window.
Wow. You know, also, you worked. You were in a show called You Again with Jack Klugman and John Stamos.
Oh my, yeah, that was one of my first acting gigs ever. And man, Jack Klugman was not happy with that show. I remember. I only had a couple of lines.
Yeah.
I was the potato delivery. So for some reason, I was delivering crates of potatoes, boxes of potatoes to his office.
Did you interact much with Jack?
Just a very little.
Yeah.
He didn't want to have anything to do with me.
Yeah.
There was some other. It might have been Stamos that was playing a rock star that was supposedly on his show or something like that. But there was somebody. It might have been Sam McMurray. But there was somebody playing a rock star that was on his whatever he did in that show.
And what did you witness Jack Klugman doing or saying while he was on the set?
Not too much from him because he could barely speak at that point.
Oh.
The voice was almost completely gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of had the feeling he took that show for the check more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
What was Eric Roberts like? You worked on Less Than
Eric
Perfect.
Roberts was surprisingly delightful.
Yeah, because he had a
by the
reputation
way-
for a while as being a strange cat.
He was great on our show, and he was. Here's a little known Eric Roberts fact, but loves squirrels and has a couple of pet squirrels. And I mean, he told me this straight out.
Good trivia.
little Eric Roberts trivia.
We could do 6 Degrees of J.J. Wall on this show. You were in Arrested Development with Jessica Walter, who's been here.
Oh, yes.
And Henry Winkler, who's been here. You did Eisenhower and Lutz. Craig Bierko was on there. And you were
yeah.
also on Sydney.
Oh, with Valerie Bertinelli?
Right, and Bierko was a regular on there. You were
That's
in Troop
right.
Beverly Hills with Frankie Avalon. You did a short film with Dr. Katz.
And right before you came in, our previous interview was with Billy Saluga, who did an episode
Of
of
Blossom.
Oh, my goodness. I remember that name, actually. I'm sure I'd recognize it.
He's Ray J. Johnson Jr. You doesn't have to call me Johnson. Only this show, JJ.
Really?
Only this show.
We had Mayim on Till Death, actually. Mayim Bialik.
Right.
Who was Blossom.
Right.
She's a very interesting young woman.
What I find fascinating with her, she had that hit show, Blossom, of course, and then drops out of acting, goes back to college, and when she decides to return, she's on like the biggest hit on TV.
Yeah. I know. Unbelievable.
Yeah, luck.
I mean, good for yeah. It's good luck. It's always good luck.
Yeah,
It is-
it's just,
for anybody to pretend that there's not luck involved.
no, there's so much
yeah.
involved.
Insane. But yeah, she's done very well for herself and has a few kids, I think.
Yeah. Did you write with John Ratzenberger for a while? You know, he's a buddy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a long time now because he's moved up to, I think, the Seattle area. But yeah, we tried to develop a couple of things. We actually tried to do a movie about British baseball because there's actually baseball in Britain. And so we traveled over there and
Wow.
drank our way around the country and took notes.
He's
Followed
another
the whole
funny
baseball
guy.
tour. Very funny guy. Very
Yeah.
good guy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't seen him in a while now because he lives up north. But we still go to the same dentist.
What else you got for this man, Gil?
Oh, God. Let's see.
Oh, this is
so
good.
Many years.
This is good. JJ was present for one of the great finales in sitcom history. And he
Oh,
knows,
the
and he
Newhart
knows what
finale.
I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, the Newhart finale I was doing the warm-ups for. And I always thought, I didn't know if Mary Fran had been informed. I always thought she wasn't. But it was where he wakes up with Suzanne Plachette
Sure.
and thinks the whole Newhart show that took place in New England was a dream. And he says that. I mean, he says to her, but what I had to do was keep the whole audience focused the other way the entire time because nobody wanted to see them set up that set or see Suzanne Plachette come on or anything. So that part was fun. But when they opened the curtain and it was Suzanne Plachette and Bob Newhart in the thing, I've never heard a round of applause or an explosion from an audience like that before.
Didn't he have
It was-
misgivings about it, too? That he thought, you know, wait, you're going to tell these people that they've invested in us over the years, all these characters, and now you're going to tell them the whole thing was a dream?
I believe that was a big discussion
Yeah.
among the writers. I was just doing warm-ups at that point. But I heard that was a big discussion. And I also heard that Mary Fran, the actress who had played his wife, was never informed, but then I was told that she was informed and she was just pissed off. So I don't know what the truth is on that one. But
Right. It was a good choice to do it. It worked so well.
yeah, it really did. It really did. Newhart also was a great character because there was a guy who created a show called Remington Steele, whose last name was Gleason. I don't remember his first name. And it wasn't, obviously, Jackie Gleason. Michael Gleason, I think was his name. And he always used to just park wherever he felt like. He had a Rolls Royce. And this was on MTM, the old, now it's called Radford, but it was the old MTM studio. And Newhart never used foul language. And at one point, somebody else, and it was just one of his guys, it was like a producer or a director guy, said, the Rolls Royce is parked in my spot again. And Newhart picked up the phone, called the head of security, and said, "This is Bob Newhart. Tell Gleason to get his fucking car out of that fucking space, or I'm going to fucking come over with a fucking sledgehammer and destroy it.
Wow.
And I mean, this guy never cursed.
Wow.
Yeah, there was another great car story when I did the Army show over at Warner Brothers. This the security guard told me. He said this lady parked in Clint Eastwood's spot, in Malpaso Productions spot, and the security guard said, "You don't want to park there. Don't park there." And then Clint came in a few minutes later and saw the lady in his spot, and he was driving a truck and backed it up and rammed her in the back and backed it up and rammed her in the back and kept doing it until he smashed the whole car into a wall in front. And then when she came out a few minutes later, he pulled out his checkbook and said, "How much do you want for this piece of shit?"
That's a good story. I like that. Didn't Bill Macy have a disagreement with Tony Curtis over a parking space? I think he did.
Oh,
We had Bill Macy on the show. We brought up he was
Wow.
He was polite. He's 95.
I was going to say.
He
yeah.
was gracious and polite through the whole show. 5 minutes left in the show, we asked about Tony Curtis, and he says, "That cocksucker." And some parking dispute. Yeah.
Those are the ones that get you, because you got to put up with so much other shit that it's the little stuff that gets you.
I found, and been doing a little research today on you, JJ, an article from the New York Times dated 1982, and it said comedians Gilbert Gottfried and J.J. Wall have both been awarded a Charlie.
oh,
Does
jeez.
this mean anything to you?
Oh, jeez.
It must have been some local New York thing or something.
No, it's
Yeah,
a Charlie
yeah.
Chaplin Award.
Yeah, and
Really?
yeah, I remember. I think I got about 2 or 3
What
of
was it?
these. It was when you got it. It was like one of those really cheap picture frames that they used to have in like Woolworth for like 50 cents.
Right.
And like some sheet with a badly drawn picture of Charlie Chaplin. And they
Did they
Call-
give these out down in the village somewhere?
yes,
think so,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I kind of remember. I have no idea. I don't think I even still have the thing.
And I remember they used to, like, when people would interview me or write an article about me, they'd say, 3-time winner of the prestigious Charlie Award. And I said, no one knows what the fuck this thing is.
I didn't even know.
And that's how I found out the idea how people send bios around. I didn't know about bios before. And so, once I found that out, I said, get this out of the bio right now.
Get rid of the Charlie.
And I remember one time Seinfeld was up for a Charlie, and he didn't get it.
And he probably got pissed.
Yes, yes.
Why didn't I get the Charlie Award? I deserve the Charlie Award. Why did they give it to Norm Macdonald? Well, he's funny.
Is Seinfeld still pissed at you for doing the voice?
Oh, yeah.
You haven't
Oh,
been
did
on-
he get pissed at that?
Gilbert's the lone comedian that hasn't been on Comedians in Cars with Coffee.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I didn't realize there was animosity behind that.
Because I remember at Catch, I used to. Well, those
You used to do him all the time.
the what?
Well,
Oh,
he was
yeah, I'd
he was a
imitate
perfect voice for a
Seinfeld.
match for your Dustin Hoffman and your all those other guys. William Hurt, is it? That they're all the guys that talk the same. That you used to do the
Yes.
bits of them interviewing each other. Seinfeld would fit very well into that.
I never heard you do William Hurt.
No, I'll have to. I
thought
don't
it
know
was
if
William
I've ever
Hurt.
done. I used to do Tony Curtis talking to Gavin.
Of course,
McLeod.
the donut.
Right. That I've
Yeah,
seen.
That's
Well,
legendary.
it was another bit that was similar to that bit. But it was different.
I
voices.
would combine voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were a pretty good comic at one point.
Yeah.
You should see that movie though.
Yeah.
the Gilbert movie?
The Gilbert movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I hate subtitles. Oh,
The French Fishophile.
The only thing wrong with that movie is that Max von Sydow isn't playing Gilbert. The lead was weak.
He would get replaced by Kevin Spacey these days,
Yeah.
oh God.
or Christopher Plummer.
You were in a movie with Jamie Farr too, JJ? I'm shooting all my bullets here.
Which one was that? Was it-
Run till you fall.
Oh, yeah, Mike Farrell from MASH actually directed that one. I think I played some baggage clerk at the airport or something. Mike always liked me, though. He was nice. Yeah, Jamie Farr was definitely in that. The reason I don't, movies, they also only bring you on for that day or two or
Right, of
3
course.
or 5 that you work, so you don't really see a lot of those people. But yeah, Jamie Farr was definitely in that. I Met a Finder's Lost Bag.
You've done a lot of cool shit. Did you perform stand-up in Africa?
Yes, my first paid gig was in Liberia, Monrovia, Liberia, because I had been with the airlines. I worked with the airlines just out of college for a few years. And then they started promoting me because I was a union guy with a college degree. And all I was doing was cleaning planes to get through college. And I was like, no, I'm a college kid with a college degree. Really. But yeah, so I got to fly free, which is the only reason I got the gig. And a friend of mine was working for Air Liberia, and he also was throwing a party for the British Embassy. And so I performed for the British Embassy. But landing in Liberia, we literally landed over a crashed plane that was just left at the end of the runway because they didn't want to do anything with it. And then we went and did the show. And then some English woman ambassador or whatever she was, they were incredibly racist. It was, like overtly racist. And she knocked over the whole table of drinks. Drunkenly stumbled into it, knocked over the whole table, and immediately stood up and started yelling at the black guy who had been just working his ass off to try to set up the table and do things.
Wow.
And then when I was flying back, I actually ran across the tarmac because I was late for the flight, because I got 2 encores and I didn't want to leave stage.
Oh, you did well.
I did very well.
That's great.
And then I was running across the tarmac saying, bring that flight back. And I was flying standby for nothing at the time. I'm trying to get them to stop the flight, which they didn't.
And how long a flight is that to Africa?
I think it was something like, because I was living in New York at the time, so maybe 9 hours, 10 hours. It was nonstop.
You haven't played Africa? Since the whole apartheid thing?
I'm considered a genius in Africa.
Really?
Yeah.
You did? In Rwanda?
From the Biafra bit. The Biafrans, those people should eat something. It's not attractive. It's not thin. It's skinny.
That was one of my bits.
He's huge in Cameroon.
Well, any place the next famine is about to take place.
Oh, my God.
I was in a plane crash in the Andes.
Do you know his whole act as I do? JJ, could you
would
you do his
imagine
act
so.
verbatim?
Pretty close.
Yeah, me too.
But you've seen in that French movie how much he turns over his material.
Yeah. It'll come up on this show. I'll say, hey, you remember you used to do that bit about...
And I'll go,
still
what do
do
you
it.
mean used to?
Still doing it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, how many of you watch Gunsmoke?
Why throw it away if it works?
That's right. As long as they're still laughing.
He's still doing hop sing material.
He's still doing Mickey Mouse material.
Yeah. Yep. The tray.
Mickey Mouse on acid.
Yeah.
And I also remember how many different time periods we've known each other. When your daughter was in a baby stroller,
That's right.
I would come up to her, shake her hand, and go, Gilbert Gottfried, thick of the night.
She was an infant at that point. Gilbert Gottfried, thick of the night.
Hilarious.
And I think your daughter for a while thought my name was Gilbert Gottfried.
Gilbert Gottfried, thick of the night. Yeah, she did. She definitely thought that was the full name is Gilbert Gottfried.
Hilarious.
And then he used to cheat at children's games with her, too.
Oh, we
You were
used
playing
to play.
Connect the Knot.
Yeah, we'd play dots, and I would cheat.
He'd fill in like 60 of them when she was trying to do her first.
Nice. You're a monster. What do you got?
That was the funniest.
Well-
Go ahead.
Anything else?
Oh, let's see.
Frank has cycled through a lot of stuff. I'm very impressed, Frank.
Well, you've done a lot.
I've forgotten his.
You've done a lot of cool shit.
Now, when you were on Seventh Heaven, did you
Yeah.
ever find little kids for the lead actor?
All right now.
No. It was a 14-year-old girl. Come on, that's not a little kid. Like our new senator from Alabama. It's all those things. They're girls. It's encouraged.
You work with a friend of mine, and I hesitate to even bring her name up because I know where Gilbert's going to go.
Uh-oh.
You work with Sherry Shepard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who's a lovely
I
person.
know where Gilbert's going to go, too.
Yeah.
She's a very
But I can
funny
cut
person.
this out of the show, so it doesn't matter. Let him do his worst.
Yeah, Sherry, she was a nice. Well, when we knew her back on Less Than Perfect, she hadn't had her
Right.
epiphany about religion.
Yes. A
very funny-
very sweet person, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She always was
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah.
Andy Dick was always very nice on that show, except when he didn't show up. But
Who's that?
Andy Dick.
Oh, Andy Dick. Right.
But the thing I really remember about Andy Dick is that and it impressed me, those spastic, weird physical bits, when we did the second take, he would do exactly the same thing. So I was always impressed by that.
That's
that he really did
interesting.
know what he was doing. But he the poor tortured soul, I feel worse
Yeah.
for him than anything else. I mean, he was
Troubled
a nice
man.
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's
fathered
always-
3 children by 2 different women.
I
also,
know. So is Gilbert.
which is bizarre.
Yes.
I know. Because people think Gilbert's straight, too, and that's all.
I don't know that people think that.
I could be.
What people? And you work with Patrick Warburton, another very funny guy.
Yes, I may be working. I'm hoping to work with Patrick again.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, we're working on something together right now. He's a funny guy.
The funniest.
And he's also one of those classic examples. You do it too. But people who are very recognizable, they either can get tormented by that or just go with it. And going with it is always the better choice.
Oh,
and Warburton is like that too. He'll stop and he'll take a picture. He'll sign an autograph, whatever people want. He's always very comfortable that way. And it's like, don't become a celebrity if you don't enjoy it.
Yeah, isn't it
That
nice to
that
be
is
around
part of
people
it.
who are famous people who are comfortable in their own skin?
It's a
It's ref-
tremendous relief.
I know, it's refreshing.
And
Yeah.
and he's one of those guys who could play the same character over and over again, and he seems fine with it. He's not one of
Yeah.
those like, no, I want to stretch as an artist.
No. He does want to stretch as an artist, but he has no problem being who he is.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have that kind of voice, and I mean, look at John Wayne and all those other guys. He really only played one character. his whole
Yeah.
career.
He was very funny on The Tick. I mean, he's very funny in a lot of things that didn't last.
Yeah, he and I have talked about it, and one of the things he's always said is he really has had to. They don't really. A lot of people don't know how to write for him. I mean, one of the reasons Tom Hurts, who you mentioned before,
Yeah.
had that success with him in Rules of Engagement.
Rules
was
of
Tom
Engagement.
knows Patrick's. What was it? Rules of Engagement.
Rules of Engagement, yeah.
Yeah, Tom knew Patrick's voice, so
Yeah.
he could write for him. But Patrick does. He seems a lot easier than he is in terms of writing for him, in terms of the character. 'Cause the character
I think he's an hilarious guy.
Yeah, I do too. And I like him, and we've been out to his house a few times. He likes to sing with his rock band buddies. He's buddies with, I'm not as familiar with the bands, but like Jane's Addiction and 9 Inch Nails and whatever that era of rock is, those are his buddies. So they come out to his house and they jam in the garage on Thursday nights, and he gets up and sings with them.
When you saw him on Seinfeld, even in the small part as Putty, and you know, there's a breakout guy immediately.
Yeah,
There's boy, that guy's just got comedy star quality, and it jumps off the screen.
Well, I think he was only booked for one episode.
I know. He turned
Yeah.
it into something.
Yeah. So
Well,
should I come up with another story?
I'm looking at him because you guys have 30 years of history.
I know.
I met you 7 minutes ago.
I know. You'd think Gilbert would know something about me.
We should go through a lot of the people who used to be at Catch when we in those years.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
What did start that again?
no, we should go through a lot of the people who used to be at Catch a Rising Star in those years that Larry
Yeah.
David would be there, and
He would do it once in a while. Remember him screaming at Ron Zimmerman in the bar? What do you mean you don't get nervous before you go up? Woody Allen throws up before he goes up. Lenny Bruce threw up before he goes up. What do you mean you don't get nervous? And he was offended. He just walked out of the bar. And then remember Richie Morris, who you and I knew, who was one of
yes.
the funniest guys ever, but eventually converted, I think, to Orthodox Judaism and moved
Yes.
to Texas in pursuit of a 16-year-old.
Oh my God. It's a Lolita story.
Yeah, but he was in love with her. I mean, there was no
oh yes,
Wow.
yes.
weird underpinning to it. He was in love with her, and of course, her Texan parents were delighted to see an Orthodox Jewish guy come to Texas.
I'm sure.
And I remember, like, Dennis Miller used to work out at Catch. Bill Maher.
Bill was, to Bill's credit, he always kind of wanted to be a stand-up and has always worked as a stand-up. To Dennis Miller's credit, he was funny in his show and then became Bill O'Reilly's pal. And I don't know what happened to Dennis Miller, but he stopped being funny.
Was Joe Bolster in the clubs then, and Steve Middleman, and
yeah, they were all around.
Provenza had to be around.
Provenza was around.
Yeah.
Bolster had his Bolster had his nervous breakdown on the Tonight Show around that time too, where he completely froze. He told a joke, and he was a good comic, Joe. I don't mean to disparage him, but it was an amazing experience. And then he froze after his first line or two on the Tonight Show, and I mean like mouth open, froze.
I didn't know that story.
Wow.
Yeah, and he sat down, and Leno was just trying to go past it and plug his next gig and stuff, and he was literally hyperventilating on the couch and stuff.
Wow.
Also, I felt very badly for him.
Was Wolfberg around?
I think he's still working.
Oh, yeah.
Wolfberg?
Yeah,
Oh,
Dennis Wolfberg.
Yeah, Dennis Blair.
Blair was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a guy that, boy, Rodney didn't treat him right, I thought. Because he helped write the first couple of Rodney's movies.
Right, funny guy.
Yeah, and another nice guy.
Yeah.
Rodney was a weird.
Oh, yeah.
I'm one of the few that's seen Rodney naked. I used to belong to
big closer.
I belonged to New York Health and Racket Club. And I was in the jacuzzi, and Rodney comes in, takes his towel off, and sits down and says, "So you're going to Belz's party tonight?" And I said, I was going to go a little later. Are there going to be girls there? I said, I'm not sure if there's going to be girls there. If there's no girls there, I'm not going downtown to see fucking Belzer. Okay.
That's disturbing.
And Rodney actually hit on my wife in front of me. I'm one of the few people that actually has been disrespected by Rodney.
Oh, do tell.
Oh, excellent.
I didn't realize you were JJ's wife. Oh, Jesus Christ. And I was standing right there. Yeah, she is,
God.
Rodney. Sorry. Take her.
We should wrap. We got about a good hour here.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Time flies when you're miserable.
These are good. These are good stories. I don't think we can top Rodney Dangerfield nude.
Yeah, that's true.
That's pretty much a closer. I used to close with that before I did the song bit.
Oh.
So
I would put on a blue robe and expose myself. Which is what Rodney did. He would put on a blue robe, have his balls hanging out.
Yeah, wasn't he famous for opening the door just with the robe open? And everything
that's
hanging
right.
out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he would close it just enough that there couldn't be any legal claims.
Because Richard Lewis told us that, Jackie Martling, more than a few people.
Yeah, Rodney, I think if Rodney was around now, he'd be one of those names that would pop up in the sexual harassment.
I can't imagine it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, they're not naming anybody posthumously, are they?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, they're leaving that be.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm Gilbert Gottfried, and I'm here with my co-host Frank Santopadre. This has been Gilbert and Frank's amazing colossal obsessions with our friend J.J. Wall.
You're our obsession this week, JJ.
Well, I'd never been anybody's obsession before. Sounds great.
We would follow you to Texas.
In search of a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
It sounds like the Heartbreak Kid. He's Jewish. She's a shiksa.
You know, actually, I didn't even realize
Yeah.
that, but it was much weirder.
Much weirder.
Kid.
Thanks for doing this, man. You've done a lot of wonderful, cool stuff. And
My pleasure and my honor. I'm glad to be here.
it's a fun trip. I'm sorry Gilbert had to be involved.
Yeah, and say hello to Dara and the kids and all that kind of
Dara's
stuff.
right here. She's still telling the story about how 10 years later he wasn't telling anybody.
Yeah. Sadly true.
Thanks, JJ. Nice to meet you,
you.
buddy.
Nice to meet you, Frank. Take care.